Welcome to the final episode of the DORA ICT Risk Management series, focusing on the execution of the business impact analysis, or BIA, scenario testing and risk assessments, of which the latter is required to be conducted on a continuous basis by the DORA articles. In particular, this video will focus on an approach to automation that delivers this by identifying exceptions, anomalies, and breaches of risk tolerances when they occur. Throughout this series, we've broken down the requirements for operational resilience in financial services and other areas of critical infrastructure, particularly focusing on DORA. From there, we've begun to describe the workflow to establish a sustainable and efficient process to remain compliant and also to adopt operational resilience as a strategic advantage. That starts with identifying and classifying every ICT function within an environment to avoid blind spots where risks and vulnerabilities can hide. We then moved on to step 2, the mapping of the systems and dependencies required to deliver business functions, in particular critical business functions and important business services, in order to ensure operational and cyber processes are conducted precisely, leveraging the appropriate situational awareness. Today, we're going to use the information that has been collected to execute, streamline, and automate the business impact analysis process and the continuous risk assessments that were required by DORA Article 8.2. The approach we've taken is to place the necessary, precise, and contextual information in the hands of the operational and risk teams to conduct their assessments and analyses, and to proactively notify them where impact and risk tolerances are violated. In complex and fast-changing digital environments, this is the only way to remain operationally resilient. This video will provide some excellent examples of our approach, but if you'd like to understand how we can help with assuring your specific impact or risk tolerances, then please get in touch. And finally, we get to stages 3 and 4 of the ICT risk management workflow. We've now established an accurate map of the business function and its dependencies, and now we're able to conduct our business impact analysis, our scenario testing, and our risk analysis associated with our business function. The requirements for this are again detailed within the draft articles for DORA, which include the requirement to conduct scenario testing, to identify RTO inconsistencies across dependencies, and to identify areas where risk tolerances are exceeded. So what we'll do now is we'll show how the rules engine within the Decision Intelligence platform allows you to code the policies required to identify as soon as your risk and impact tolerances are violated. So for the first example, we're going to focus on the business impact analysis stage. So here we are back at our 30,000 foot view of the entire enterprise architecture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move down to the violations tab to look at areas where policies that have been defined within the rules engine have been violated. So the first policy we see here is an operational risk detection policy that has identified a mismatch between the RTO requirements of a business function and of its dependency. So the primary business function, the credit bureau application, has an RTO of 1, and it has a dependency on a system that has an RTO of 4. So let's go and have a little look at that. So clicking through, we see that the credit check system has a dependency on credit bureau. And that dependency is an HTTPS connection between a system with a recovery time objective of 1 hour and a system with a recovery time objective of 4 hours. And organizations with highly complex sets of dependencies to deliver a business function can use the policy defined within the rules engine to determine as soon as a mismatch is detected within their architecture. So for the next example of the power of the risk engine in conducting business impact analysis and risk assessments on a continuous ongoing basis, I've come back to the 30,000 foot view. And once again, I'm looking at the violations that have been detected by the policies that we've defined. And what we find here is an alert that shows we have a system with a critical CVE communicating with a system which is a tier 1 application, so it has a criticality of 1. So if we want to drill into this, we drill through on the alert, and what we can see quite clearly here, indicated by the red line, is the dependency that violates the risk tolerance that we've set. So once again, we look at the violations and we see here there are two systems, two sources with a critical CVE that are both communicating with the same tier 1 application. So to allow us just to drill down a little bit more and see what's going on, we select the details, we look at the systems here, and we can see that this system here, ticket generation 10.20.5.1, has a critical CVE and it's communicating with this application, the database event orders, that is a tier 1 application. So what we've done here using the vArmour risk engine is we've written some rules that allow us to encode our risk tolerances so that rather than running a risk assessment on a periodic basis once every quarter, once every year, the risk engine is continuously evaluating the environment to ensure that we never move outside of our defined risk tolerances. So for complex environments which are dynamic and constantly changing, this kind of capability is absolutely invaluable. This concludes our series of videos addressing the ICT risk management requirements defined under DORA. We've tried to provide you with a repeatable framework to deliver your ICT risk management obligations and showed you some examples of an automated and streamlined solution delivered as a service. The next year leading up to January 2025 deadline for compliance is going to provide every affected organisation with the opportunity to look at operational resilience differently and to consider how it can be adopted for strategic advantage. If you'd like to discuss any of the topics covered within this series or discuss specific operational resilience challenges you're facing, please feel free to reach out to me at marc@vArmour.com. Thanks for joining in this series. Goodbye.